Okay, we're going to dive into a really powerful, really complex system of state control. And it all kicks off with one single tragic event. An event that didn't just spark a global movement, but really pulled back the curtain on the very machinery we're here to talk about.
So, back in September 2022, this question, it became devastatingly real. A 22-year-old woman, Mahsa Amini, died while she was in the custody of Iran's morality police. And her death, well, it was so much more than just a headline. It was a catalyst, the spark that ignited the massive woman life freedom protests that just swept across the entire country.
And the state's response? It was swift and it was brutal. We're talking more than 500 people killed by security forces during the crackdown. And that number, which comes from UN investigators, even includes dozens of kids. Just staggering. But, the killings were just one part of it. On top of that, over 20,000 people were arrested. Think about that. Students, journalists, artists, just regular people. To pull off a response on that scale, you need a highly developed state machinery. So let's do this. Let's break down its three core pillars. All right, pillar number one. This is all about raw physical force. We're talking about the boots on the ground, the direct instruments of control you can actually see on the streets. And at the heart of this physical force, you've got two key groups: the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, you'll see it called the IRGC, and its volunteer paramilitary wing, the Basij militia. Now, this is the crucial part. They basically function as a state within a state. They operate completely parallel to the regular army and answer only to one person, the supreme leader. So their job isn't really about national defense in the way you might think. No, their mission is explicitly internal. Their whole purpose is to enforce ideological rules, police daily life, and, this is the big one, spearhead the violent crackdowns on any public dissent. And they've been the ones leading the charge in every major protest wave for the last 20 years. Okay, so that's the physical control. But it's mirrored by a second pillar. Because, let's face it, repression isn't just happening on the streets anymore. It goes way deeper, into the digital world, creating something analysts have started calling a digital cage. And this is where a group called Fatah, that's Iran's cyber police, comes into play. Now, don't think of this as your typical internet crimes unit. No, this is a specialized force, and it's designed specifically to monitor, to filter, and ultimately to criminalize what people say online. They work hand in glove with the IRGC, targeting activists sometimes before they can even think about organizing. But honestly, their most powerful tool is much, much blunter. During big protests, like the ones in 2019 and 2022, the state has literally just hit a kill switch. They use their control over the national network to shut down internet access for entire regions, sometimes for the whole country. And this blackout does two things. It stops protesters from coordinating, and just as important, it stops them from showing the rest of the world what's really going on. So what happens next? You've got the arrests on the street, you've got the online monitoring. Where does it all lead? Well, that brings us to our third and final pillar, the part where the state's power gets turned into actual legal punishment. See, dissenters aren't tried in normal courts. Instead, they're funneled into this parallel justice system, into what are called revolutionary courts. And human rights groups will tell you these courts are just grossly unfair. They hold these swift, secretive trials based on really vague charges. Things like waging war against God or corruption on earth. It's a whole different world from a regular justice system. And the outcome of these trials, with really alarming frequency, it's the death penalty. Just look at these numbers. The number of executions has absolutely surged. We're talking the highest levels in decades. And what that does is create this pervasive climate of intense fear. And that's the whole point. This isn't just about punishment for a crime. It's about psychological control. Amnesty International put it perfectly. They call it an execution spree, a deliberate tactic designed for one reason: to instill fear and to terrorize the population into silence. Okay, so let's recap. We have the three pillars, right? The enforcers on the street, the digital cage online, and the final verdict in the courts. Now, when a protest actually breaks out, these pillars don't just act randomly. Oh no, they work together, perfectly in sync, following a very clear, very methodical playbook. It's basically a 6-step cycle. Here's how it works. First, the IRGC and Basij flood the streets, total militarization. Step 2, overwhelming force. At the exact same time, Step 3, the internet blackout is triggered. Then comes Step 4, mass arrests sweeping up everyone. And those people, They're fed directly into the unfair revolutionary courts. That's step 5. And finally, step 6, the punishment is handed down. Long prison sentences or even execution. It's this devastatingly effective closed loop of repression. And what's so crucial to understand here is that this playbook, it wasn't just invented in 2022, not at all. It has been built and refined over decades of suppressing dissent. And what it's created is this unbroken, vicious cycle of protest and repression. I mean, just look at this table. The pattern is crystal clear. You go from the Green Movement in 2009 to what's called Bloody November in 2019, and then to the Woman Life Freedom Movement. And each time, every single time, the protest wave is met with even more force. And pay attention to this part. Notice how the internet shutdowns evolved. It went from just partial, back in 2009, to a total multi-day blackout. That's a huge evolution in the state's tactics.
So what do you even call a system like this? Well, analysts have a name for it. They call it a consolidated repression system. It sounds complex, but the idea is simple. It's a machine built for one purpose and one purpose only: to crush dissent. It's vertically integrated, which is just a fancy way of saying that everything, the security forces, the repressive laws, the control over the internet, it all works together seamlessly, flowing right from the top, from the supreme leader all the way down to the street.
So what we've just walked through is a system that is, let's be honest, incredibly resilient. It's brutally effective at maintaining control. And yet, the sources we're looking at also make one thing absolutely clear. Despite decades of this, the demand for change inside Iran just won't go away. It's unextinguishable. And that creates this powerful, unresolved tension, doesn't it? You have a state that's built from the ground up to prevent change, clashing with a society that simply refuses to stop demanding it. And that leaves us with this ongoing cycle of resistance and repression with a truly unknown end.